All right, let's talk about power for this active target module. Again, active target module takes, pulls about amp and a half to between amp and a half and 3 amps of power. Okay, so you got to make sure that you have good clean power, and you got to have reasonably stable power coming to this box. So the solution that I use, okay, is I use 8 gauge Ancor marine grade wire. I have it, this is what's called duplex wire. This is a full spool of it, okay, or a partial spool. But what it looks like is that you got the white jacket on there, much like your house wiring, except this stuff is completely different. And then it's a lot of stranded wire inside the shield case or plastic case. But it's also tinned so it doesn't corrode on you. If you've ever pulled apart straight copper wire after it's been exposed for a while, you see that it's green, maybe back even 3 or 4 inches on the thing. So what I do is I use this Ancor marine grade wire. It comes either in duplex form like this, or you can do it in individual spools like this. I prefer the duplex. It's a lot easier to pull because it's coating, basically the outer wrapping on it. Almost feel like it's lubricated. It's a lot easier to pull that than pulling this wire. Now, admittedly, this wire is a little smaller, but you got to pull positive here and negative. Okay, so you got to pull both of them together to make a good connection. Okay? The connections I use, okay, I use Ancor brand. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. I'll see if I can maybe put some links in there, but I use the Ancor heat shrink marine grade connection. When you look at it, you can see it's kind of an off color. It's not a shiny plastic. What it is that once you crimp it down with using proper crimper, you heat shrink it and it makes a watertight connection on your wire and your connector. It also gives a good physical bond as well. In addition to that, I'll add in another piece of heat shrink on it, and me being, you know, kind of an anal engineer type, I use different colors. I use red for red, black for black, and if I have like a control wire, like the yellow wire on the active target module, I'll actually use a clear. Okay, this is marine grade heat shrink. What it is it shrinks down a certain ratio. I believe this is a 3:1. Okay, it's a certain diameter. Some sizes you'll have to go slightly larger to get it over top of the connector, or it can put it on the wire before you crimp everything down together. Okay, but it has adhesive in it. Creates another watertight connection for you. It gives you a little bit more strain relief on the wire. If you look at the video I did on rewiring the electronics system power for the 620, you'll see that I use this quite a bit. So that's a little bit about that. Now, it's very important that, I'm not going to go into a lot of details on how to actually make up the wiring harness here. If you want to see that in a video, please let me know. Comment down below, and I'll see if I can put together one. I'm going to do one on basic wire terminations. Okay, so for this 8 gauge wire, it takes basically these pink connectors. Okay, it's a fairly large wire that goes inside. You've got to get the right size connector, the right size terminal to go on whatever you're going to. Like, for example, this is a breaker that I use. Okay, this is a 30 amp breaker. I put this breaker back at the battery. Okay, I then run the wire from this breaker straight up to a fuse block. Okay, so on the fuse block, I'll then connect the power wire on these 2 plus and minus leads. Okay, again, that takes like a number 10. So you use a number 10 connector on that. Whereas if you say, okay, I don't have the right size connector, use this on there, it's not a really good idea. You want to use the right size connectors on the right size terminations. Okay, like for example, all these little ones that are coming off here for power leads, those are number 8s. This is a number 10. Always use the right size connector for your wire and for the type of terminal you're going to go to. Okay, very, very important. Okay, one little tip I have done with these breakers. These breakers are great. They're waterproof. They're ignition proof. But sometimes if you over tighten one of the bolts on the corner, you can actually break this thing pretty easily. And here's an example of what happens. We were trying to install it a little tight. I let the customer do it, and we just kind of snapped the whole corner off here, right? Now, one thing that I like about these breakers versus say other types, see how the backside is raised up, so this is sitting on like 4 pedestals. A lot of the battery boxes, the fiberglass behind there is not perfectly flat. So if you take a flat breaker, excuse me, and anyway, it's a little chilly in the garage, by the way, just so you know. So if you take a flat breaker, you try to attach it to that fiberglass wall, cinch it, screw it down, it's going to break on you. Not a good thing to do. Now, if you're mounting it on this marine board that I mentioned earlier about the HPDE, that's this type of stuff you want to use it on, okay? Or HDPE, sorry, I always get that backwards. So anyway, and core connectors, high quality, marine grade, heat shrink, what you want to use, marine grade wire, waterproof breakers, waterproof fuse blocks, okay? But when you get it all hooked up and ready to go, ready to test, what you want to do is get your voltmeter. This is a El Cheapo from Ace Hardware locally here. It was, I think at the time I bought it, like maybe $10. You can get them on Amazon for right around that price range. You really want to be able to have something so you can select the range, okay? Because your 12-volt battery is on the 12-volt scale, so this is a 20-volt. It uses a 20-volt scale on that, okay? So you go have a DC scale. You also want to be able to check out your volt, say if you're working with your trolling motor, okay, you need 36 volts. You got to put it on the right scale, okay? Don't leave it on the 20-volt scale, try to measure your trolling motor batteries end to end. It'll basically tell you, you're out of range, okay? So you need to make sure you learn how to use these. Not very hard to use, but very handy, okay? This is a great troubleshooting tool. It'll also let you know, am I really getting power where I think I'm getting, okay? So. All right, so that's a little bit on the power. I appreciate you guys watching this. Please like and subscribe the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.